Hey everyone, it's Justin. Thank you for watching and welcome to my house. In this video, I have another new Vancouver feature for you, and it has to do with Flow Designer. So in Flow Designer, if you're not familiar, it's basically a low, no-code way to build workflows in ServiceNow, but you can still do pro code if you want to in Flow Designer. The new feature today is actually about building a JSON payload with the JSON Builder Step, which you can see here to my right. Or to your right, which is, I don't know, it's in front of me. But we can see here, create a JSON payload to use in another step, enter values or use data pills to produce a dynamic payload. The step supports several data types, including objects and arrays for nested structures. So what I'm going to show this to you is I have a custom action in Flow Designer that puts an event on Google Calendar, which is right behind me. You can see just above my head, I have the Utterly Awesome podcast number 32 that's scheduled to go out today at 12 p.m. So when I get done producing a video, I do all my checklists and stuff in ServiceNow, and when I publish it, when I say it's published, I'd like it to go ahead and create an entry in Google Calendar for me. And I'll just show you real quick what that looks like, what this custom action looks like. So it's called Create Google Calendar Event. It receives an input, which you can see here, for the content record itself. The content record is a custom table I've made. And because I have this REST step that goes and sends that to Google Calendar, I have to prepare the REST body for that to be sent. Now, if we look here, it's actually a pretty involved script, about 21 lines. Let's see if I can walk you through it really quickly here. I basically declare an array or an object, for the request body, and then I set the summary and description of the calendar event to the short description of my content record, and right now I'm using the sys ID because I don't really have a description right now for my videos. And then the start time and end time, you can see it gets a little gnarly in here in the script because we've got to start doing some math and some formatting. Part of the math is I'm in a different time zone, so I've got to subtract 7 hours, and then I've got to add an hour for the end time, because if you look just above my head, I have the podcast from 12 to 1, but really I only store a date for 12 p.m. So I got to add an hour for the end time so it shows on the calendar correctly. And then I got to format it the way Google wants it. Google wants it in the ISO standard where it's like 2023 1018 T and then the time. And then we send the time zone separately, which you can see me doing here, where I finally assemble my request body with the string for the start and end times, and then the time zone. I'm in the America-New York time zone, or EST or EDT. I think we're daylight savings time right at the moment. And then after all that's done, I output it as the request body in a JSON string, and then we use that in the REST step, if you look here, to send that to Google Calendar. So there's the request body. There's an actual API endpoint that we're calling, and I'll probably blur some of this out, but basically that's what does it. So let's test it real quick so you can see this working in action. Let's take our example, Utterly Allison number 32, which is up behind me. I'm just going to search for 32. There it is. And we're going to run the test. And if it's successful, which it should be because I tested this before I hit record, it'll create another calendar appointment there, which you saw it just come up. So let's click on this one, and there it is with the sys ID. The other one I created manually, so it doesn't have the sys ID. So it worked. It actually created it, and it's on my calendar, which is working like it should. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use this new feature in Vancouver, create a JSON payload, to get rid of my script, so I don't have to have this big old gnarly script in order to do it. So let's just get right to it. I'm going to make this bigger here. I'm going to move my head over to the right, and we're going to go ahead and add a step after the prepare REST body for JSON Builder. Let's see if we can find it. I went past it. JSON Builder right there. So this is the new feature in Vancouver. Generate a JSON payload. So we'll select that step there. And and I have seen this before. So basically we're going to build out our JSON object here, and we're going to specify things like the type of data, so it's going to either object, a string, and ServiceNow will probably introduce more stuff here eventually, but I don't know, I don't work for ServiceNow. And then it'll let me preview the structure as I build it. So essentially what we need, if we go back to this one, I need a request body with summary, description, and then 2 other objects for start and end. So let's go ahead and start building that. So this one's going to be summary, and then my summary value I'm going to pick from my inputs, the content record, and the short description. So that's the same thing I was doing in my script, but now I'm doing it in this JSON builder. So I put it in there, summary, short description. Let's go ahead and add another field for the description. Now these summary and description fields right here, this is what Google wants. They want an object that has summary and description in here. And for the description, I don't have a description on my videos, so let's do something a little different than what I was doing in my script. Let's pull in the number. So we'll pull the number, and then I'll put a colon. So that'll be the record number, and then I'll pull in, let's pull in the sys-ID again, I guess. So here we go, sys-ID. So I'm gonna have the number, colon, a space, and the sys-ID, and that's perfect. Now that I've got my summary and my description here, I'm gonna go ahead and start building out my date times. Let me move my head so I'm not in the way here, and let's go ahead and add the start. And the start is going to be an object, and that object is going to be date time as an attribute, and we're also going to have time zone as an attribute. Time zone is going to be America, is it backslash? I can't remember, is it backslash or slash? Let's look at what I did before up here. It is, that's a forward slash, so good thing I checked, that is a forward slash. So do / new _ York. And then my date time, we're going to actually choose from my content record. I have a planned published date time field. That's when I plan on that being published. And then we're going to apply a data transformation to it. So I'm going to apply 2 data transformations. One is I'm going to add time. It's going to say an hour here at first, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to change that hour to nothing because I don't want to add an hour. The reason I'm doing this is because when I tested, if I don't apply that add time to it, it comes out in Greenwich Mean Time. If I do apply the data transformation, it comes out in my time zone, which is America, New York, which is the time zone I'm using. So I don't know why that's in there, but when you use date times in ServiceNow or any scripting or any application, there's always some weirdness, some wonkiness. So I figured that out for this one. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to convert that string not to a number, sorry. I'm going to convert the date to a string. So we're going to do string to date and time, date to string. I'm getting my words mixed up there. So we can actually choose the ISO date time that I was talking about earlier. This particular one that ServiceNow does is it has this Z on the end of it, and I don't want the Z. Now I guess I could use another data transformation. However, it's just as easy for me to put in a custom one there, and I'll just show you how easy it is. I'm going to type it YYY, and then a dash, month, and then a dash, day, and then I need my T in there. Google wants that. Then hours, that should be a colon, minute, seconds, and we'll just copy that to the clipboard so I have it for my end date. Hit apply, and now I've got that date formatted just like I need it. If I scroll down here, it's not going to preview that, but I at least see that it's structured the way I want. I got the start and the object, and then I got the time zone and the date time in there. So next up, we just need to build the next one, which is going to be the end. So let's go ahead and call this end, and it's going to be an object, and then we'll add the 2 properties there. It's going to be time zone and date time for my 2 properties. For my time zone, we get to type that in again, / new _ York, and then we'll pick our planned published time, but we're going to want to add an hour to it because remember on my calendar here, I want that to be an hour appointment. I don't want it to be just a 1 minute appointment or something. So let's do the planned published date time. Now we'll actually do our add time to it. So date time, add time, we're going to keep that 1 hour. I'm not going to take it away this time. And then I'm going to do my date to string just like we did before, custom, paste in that format, hit apply, and now I should be done. I should have a JSON payload right there, and there was the number of things I had to configure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things I had to configure. I'm going to hit save. So I'm replacing this script that I told you I had before on my prepare REST body. We're not going to use this anymore. I'm going to use this JSON Builder Step instead, and the output of this JSON Builder Step is going to be used in my REST step. So let's go ahead and get rid of the request body from what I was using before. That was working, so you saw it work. And now let's go grab my JSON Builder Step, and we're going to grab the output and put it right there in my REST request. Hit save. And our big moment is going to come when we test this. So let me go ahead. We've got the calendar appointment right there behind me. I'm just going to hit test. We'll pick the same record, Otterly Allison 32. I'm going to hit run. and it should pop up behind me if I've done everything correctly, hopefully in the right time zone and everything, and it did not, so something went wrong. Let's go ahead and click on this and see if we can fix it. I've got an unterminated quote. Looks like I fat fingered my T quote there. I put a double quote instead of a single quote. So let's go back in. This is what happens when you're doing stuff. Let's get rid of this and see where I messed that up. Data transformation, and I probably messed it up in both. Date to string. Scroll down there. There it is. I've got a double quote instead of a single quote. So we'll fix that there and apply. And I know I copy pasted it, so we got to go fix the other one. Let's see, applied transformations, date to string, scroll this way, and there it is. There's that double quote. Convert it to a single quote, hit apply, and I should be good. So I'm going to save, and hopefully that's the only error. Sometimes I fat finger a lot of things, or I move so fast I forget steps. But hopefully I've done it well this time, and we see it pop up above my head when it completes. Yes, there it is. Look at that. It is right there. It just created it. So let's click on it. Remember, the one I did should have the content. This one doesn't. And colon and the sys-ID, there it is. The number of the record plus the sys-ID in there. So that was created from this new JSON Builder step. Let's go ahead and view the execution just to see how that came out. So we'll go into steps here. There's still that prepare REST body. That's still happening. So it was preparing this one here where its description had just the sys-ID. So that was the scripted way of doing it. Let's go down to the JSON Builder step. Lots of stuff going on here, but if you go down to output, we can see there's my output, and there's the record number with the description and the start and end times, just like I wanted them formatted from 12 to 1 p.m. And then it does its integration in a post. So that's the new JSON Builder step. I'm actually quite impressed with the ease of building this out, kind of replacing all this scripting here that someone would have to know JavaScript. They'd have to know how to dot walk their way to different fields on a record. They'd have to know how to grab, create glide datetime objects, and then manipulate those objects by adding and subtracting time to them, and then converting them to strings, and then replacing spaces with a T. I was able to do all of that in this JSON Builder step in probably a fraction of the time that it took me to write the script, test it, and get rid of all my bugs, because you never write the script perfect the first time, or at least I don't. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like, please subscribe, or share it with somebody who you think might be interested in the new JSON Builder step in ServiceNow's Vancouver release. And until next time, don't forget to always be learning.